Blindman Overland. We got Mr. Dave over here. And Dave, for one, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you.
Cheers.
First off, you've watched the show. What's in the cup, man? Anything good tonight?
Oh, I don't know if it's good. I think that's a relative question, but I am having some Weiser's whiskey with a little bit of ginger ale, Canada Dry.
Nice. Well, it's got to be Canada because you are from Canada, correct? I mean, if you didn't
That's correct, yeah.
support the local economy, I mean, what's going on there?
Well, I wouldn't be a very good Canadian, would I?
Well, you got to be funny. You got to be funny too. So, I mean,
I suppose. Yeah, I suppose we got to have something going for us.
We in America, we've got expectations of Canadians, and if you're not funny, something's going wrong there. But anyways,
well, I'll do my very best to keep those expectations.
We wanted to get you on the show because, for one, you're just a cool cat, but two, you are a cool cat that drives a Nissan Frontier. So, and of course, if you're fans of the podcast from back in the day, we've had Dave on before, and we had a great conversation. And I think you're one of the last ones that we put up too, which is really crazy.
I think so, yeah.
It's like you're in the 90s, late 90s. I remember that. So if you guys, it's still up. If you wanted to go check out the Nissan Nation podcast and waste a few hours, but. Tonight, we wanted to, you have a YouTube channel and Instagram, and I kind of wanted to just go over that with you. And
for sure.
I know, we've known you for over a year now, man. And you were just getting into the YouTube part, I think, initially, or like putting a lot of effort into it, right? Last year?
For sure, yeah.
So
yeah, last time we talked, I was just getting my feet wet.
Yeah, well, they're definitely, from the videos I've seen now, your feet are definitely wet, and
thanks, man.
But let's get into this just a little bit. I'm curious, and I'm sure our audience is. What is Blindman Overland? I mean, obviously there's 100,000 different overland companies, or
we're everywhere, yeah.
And anymore, you've got to have a name. So explain the name and explain what you're all about, man.
Sure, that's actually probably a good question because I get asked a lot, like, why is it because I wear glasses? And it's like, no, I think that's I don't know if that would be appropriate. That's definitely not why. I hail from the Blindman River Valley here in a small town called Lacombe, in Alberta, Canada, and we're just kind of a small hole in the wall town. We got kind of a dinky little cool downtown core, but this is kind of where this is where I leave from. Right. And every time I go on an adventure, I basically leave from here or Black Falls. And then when I started doing my videos and my channel, I was like, you know what, I wanted a cool creative outlet. I wanted to get out and use some of the gear that I've accumulated over the years and just do something. I'm not a painter. I can't write a story worth crap.
I don't know.
I'm not a very good author.
You tell a good story, so I think.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, those who can't write say, I guess, or whatever the saying is.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, so I started the YouTube channel, and then I also have an Instagram. It's just Blindman Overland. But yeah, so the Blindman River Valley is basically this ancient river valley in central Alberta where a glacier passed through during the Younger Dryas period, and just basically cleared away a solid few hundred feet of earth. And now there's a bunch of rivers running through it. It's epic fishing. Right. We got good fishing around here. Probably not as good as Saskatchewan to our neighbors to the east, but
right.
So it's good fishing around here. And I just decided I wanted something that was kind of local, that was kind of homey, little town, small towny. And then the overland thing was kind of getting popular in Canada anyway. So Canada's kind of behind the eight ball a little bit when it comes to this.
No way.
And we were talking.
Come on.
Yeah, no, for real. Overlanding isn't really that, like, even in Canada, it's we're maybe a year into it being known and popular. Like, most people don't even know what overlanding is.
You guys did this stuff before. Like, you didn't need a name to do this stuff. That was the thing.
No, that's the thing, though, is before it wasn't really over. So, so there's the running joke, right? Like, overlanding is just, it's camping, right?
Yeah.
It's camping. And I guess, in a sense, if you're a Canadian, you are places that you need a 4x4 to get to.
Right.
So yeah, we've been doing this kind of stuff for a long time. Jeeping and bush trucking and all this cool stuff that we do up here. But the term overlanding and ongoing vehicle dependent travel isn't something that it was super popular up here. Right? It's bush trucks, it's mud trucks, and it's maybe a little bit of rock crawling once you get closer to BC.
Right.
So the overlanding thing hasn't really taken off quite yet. Well, I mean, it's taken off and running now, obviously, because Just it seems to be that Canada takes a little bit longer to get to the trends as you guys. You guys set them and we just carry them through.
Well, I think Australia sets these trends, and they just gradually come this. They're like a tide. They just sort of roll in, and we get a taste of it. And
Yeah, that's a good point. If there is an outdoorsy, sporty kind of nation that is just known for that, it's probably Australia.
right, but so you got a taste of this, but you're kind of a Nissan guy too, correct?
Yeah, I've owned Nissans for a long time. Actually, my very, very first car was a Nissan. It was a 79 Datsun 280ZX
Yeah,
that I had built with my best friend who ended up moving. And then logically, I paid him for the car and I got the car.
nice.
And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with tinkering. It was the first car I ever rebuilt as a kid when I was, 12, 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Did my first donut in that car. Got my first speeding ticket in that car. Like it was the coolest car. So I always liked Nissan product. It was always cool, and they were always affordable.
Right.
They were cool cars that you or I could buy, that anybody could buy, and still have that same. If you see a 370Z roll down the road, everybody looks as fun.
Yeah.
Like the old Datsun, like the Datsun. I think the Datsun 280ZX's slogan was awesome.
It didn't need to be.
I think that's all it was. It was just, I remember a commercial that I watched like from 1983, and it was just the Honda or Honda, how dare I? 280ZX just roll down the road, and this kid just goes, awesome.
We need more.
And that's what they are.
We need more commercials.
They
like
do,
that,
man. Nissan needs to step up their game.
They're working on it, but so yeah, like what some of my earliest memories is, I think my brother had a '77 B210, and
Sweet,
just rusting apart. Like all '70s cars, they just fell apart by the time they got to the dealership. They were falling apart, but yeah, no, man. But you've moved on to, you've had other Nissans and Datsuns, right?
I did, yeah. So I sold the Datsun, and then I moved into. I've had a plethora of vehicles. I just turned 32, like 7 days ago.
Wow! Well,
and
belated happy birthday.
Cheers! Cheers! Thanks you. And me and my buddy, we have this ongoing bet of who can accumulate the most vehicles before they die.
Right.
And my best friend Pete, he's about 10 years older than I am now, and he's at some outrageous number. He's at like 87
Holy
or
cow.
something. Yeah, and in order to make this fun and happy and exciting, what we do is we include like motorcycles, quads, bikes, trikes, side by sides, right?
So you constantly trading for motorcycles.
Always, yeah. We're buying something and then we get into it. We do a little bit build and then we flip it and we get into something else, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody knows how. Every car guy knows how it goes. I think I'm at like 30. I'm almost at about one per year for every year that I was alive.
Damn.
And the majority of those are Nissan. And it's just because they made cool cars. So I've had a 240SX, I've had a 180, I've had two 280ZXs now. I've had a 240Z. I've had a what else do we have? I had a really, really, really old Skyline, like way back when, that didn't run, and it was going to be one of those cars that I was going to soup up and make it into a bonsai car or a Bosuzuka car.
Nice.
And that never happened. And then I've like I said, I've had a whole bunch. And then I went into the Jeeps. And I was a Jeep guy for probably 5 years.
We all do our time in a Jeep.
I think we all do, yeah.
You have to know what really garbage quality is to know. Let's not go there.
They're so bad. They're so bad. They're and if I had death wobble
if you're current Jeep owner, I'm not crapping on you by any means, because the 80s and early 90s Jeeps were just garbage.
Terrible. Just garbage. There was one good Jeep that came out of the 90s, and it was the Cherokee.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thing is a bulletproof steel station wagon with 4x4.
Right.
And it's a great truck. It's a nice truck. But then I had a TJ that was all done up, and it was really giving me some issues, and I had dumped like $5,000 into the front end to get rid of this death wobble, and it never went away.
Wow.
And so I drove to the Nissan dealership because there was a really cute girl working there that I liked, and she took me out on a test drive in the supercharged Xterra, which was freaking sweet.
Right.
and then the Nissan Titan with that. I think it's a 5.6 liter or a 5.8 liter or whatever is in it.
It's a 5.6.
And that thing blew my 5.6. That thing blew my socks off. Like that truck was it was an SL fully loaded, totally just a beautiful truck, and I was blown away. So I jumped on that truck, and I owned that for quite a few years. Just used it to pull the boat around and stuff. But then I wasn't able to go camping, and I was working a lot, so I had a work truck. So I decided to trade it in, and I bought a Nissan Micra.
Oh, that's a major change there, man.
It was honestly one of that car. If your definition of a car is to get you from A to B every time without fail,
Yeah.
for as least amount of money as possible, it is the perfect car ever made. Like, it is cheap. When I bought it, it was less than $10,000 brand new from a dealership.
Wow.
It was $9,999, I think. So that's how they got under the $10,000 mark, right?
Right.
But man, I owned that car for 5 years. And
you could about barely fit in it, I'm sure.
oh, barely. And I was starting to get to the point where I was pulling a tent trailer with it. I went through the BC mountain range on a highway with it, and I mean that was probably ill-advised and probably illegal, but I mean, hey, whatever.
Till you get caught, you don't know, right?
Like, what are they gonna do? Like, take the little trailer away? Okay, take my $500 camper. I'm gonna use a tent.
Right. But all of this has led you to a Frontier, though, correct?
Yeah, so all of this eventually led me to a Frontier. I traded in the Nissan, the Micra, and because I needed to get to my campsites. It was getting to the point where I hadn't been to my camping where I usually camp for a long time, and I was like, you know what, this is nuts. I need a 4x4. So I bought a Nissan Frontier, and it was sitting right beside a Toyota Tacoma. And I might have told the story before, but there was about a $15,000 to a $20,000 price tag difference between the Frontier and the Tacoma.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not going into a product that I don't know from a product that I know works.
Yeah.
Into something that some kid put 20 grand into and then traded in for a diesel because he can't. So I bought the Frontier, and I started picking away at it over time. You know, I'm not made of money. I'm a pretty modest guy here. So I add parts as I go, depending on what I need. You know?
Right. Well, and if looking at your truck now, you've needed a lot from what I can tell, because you've added quite a bit of parts to this thing. So what year truck do you have, and what's the basic layout of it?
So it's just a 2013 Nissan Frontier SB 4x4 off-road.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got it, it was just a basic truck. It seemed a little higher than the average Frontier, but other than that, there wasn't much to it. Came with a tonneau cover, and part of the deal, I had them Line-X the lower quarters of the truck.
Right.
So just to get some added protection from a lot of the gravel roads that I drive, and took it home and started going camping. And then I started doing the YouTube channel at the same time. I did the YouTube channel when I had the Micra. If you go back on my YouTube,
I saw some. Yeah, I saw a couple of your first videos.
Yeah, they're. I mean, just like every YouTuber, they're absolutely terrible. You know, but they're fun. They're fun to watch.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know, I got a few followers that are still here from those days. So, you know, they're some of the OGs, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and I just started picking away at it. And I started doing I do a lot of DIY stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because as you know, there's not a whole bunch of parts out there available for the Frontier. Specifically with like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, no, it could use a little extra love for sure.
For sure. There is you know what I've noticed lately though, there are a lot of other manufacturers and fabricators right now that are starting to make stuff specifically for the Frontier that have been making things for Jeeps and Tacomas the whole time.
Yeah.
But they actually started to make things for the Frontiers. And I think that's great. Like a guy you might know is P&P Engineering.
Yeah, I know Kyle.
Kyle from P&P. So he's making some pretty cool stuff. I know Rego Fabrications has some stuff out there. So if you guys are Nissan guys, these are names you should be writing down.
Yeah.
And checking out if you want to buy some of the stuff.
Well, yeah, because it's a rarity to, Nissan's not a high margin. They're not, they've sold a ton of Frontiers, but it's not compared to when Toyota sells 200,000, Tacomas a year when Toyota does that. And Nissan sells, 80 to 90,000. Like, who are you going to want to build for? It's logical. But, yeah, some of these guys.
Oh, totally.
They do it just out of a passion because either they're Nissan fans or they just,
For sure. Yeah, and I don't get me wrong, I'm not crapping on anybody here, for not offering Nissan parts. the free market economy does what it does. You know, there's a
Right.
supply and demand thing that gets played. You know, and I totally respect that. But to say that there's still quite a demand, you know, 80 or 90,000, that's a demand that you could tap into.
Right.
That's not saturated yet.
Well,
So
and some of that too is Nissan. They've never marketed, after the Xterra, they just never marketed the Frontier to be an adventure vehicle. So
that's true.
Some of
Yeah,
that
and
is.
it's never seen as one either. Like you don't see Frontiers done up like mine. You
Oh,
see.
so I got into a conversation. Somebody, it's on YouTube here. Somebody I commented on something, and they started going, "Oh, it was a Honda Ridgeline, where Honda's got a new Ridgeline they're coming out with, and it looks a little off-roady, but let's be honest, it's a unibody car.
It's a Honda Ridgeline.
Yeah, it's a car that's a little taller, and
yeah, that's exactly. Well, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, good vehicle, but it's just not a truck. But
yeah.
So I don't know if it was last year I commented, and you know how you get your notifications on YouTube, and somebody's like, "Oh,
yeah.
man, I mean, clearly you're a Nissan guy, so nobody talks about Nissan." And I just commented back, and I was like, "Why don't you do a YouTube search on, Honda Ridgeline and see how many off-road things pop up versus yeah, Nissan is not king of the hill, but they don't play like they're either. I'm amazed when people want to go Frontier. What is that? You're like, what? It's a great truck.
It's like, I swear to God, people don't actually mean what is that. It's like that's a jab.
Yeah. Oh,
the
yeah.
Nissan Frontier has been around for a long freaking time. Like it's an old truck. Actually, it's so old. It's got the tag of being the oldest new truck you can buy right now.
Well, of course. Which I wouldn't. I want to get into that too because you're the perfect person for that question. But go ahead.
Well, that's all. I'm just saying. It's if you're asking what's a Nissan Frontier, you're lying. You're just lying.
Oh, yeah.
You know what it is. Don't be dumb.
Yeah, it's probably it's a Toyota guy or somebody that just wants to.
Sure. Yeah, they're just giving you a jab. Yeah.
It's like being on the trails, which you happen to be in your videos. You don't just wheel with Nissan people by any means. I've seen Toyotas and Jeeps, and because you kind of have a little crew that goes with you, right?
We do. Yeah, we got our boys. We got Mark from Mission Overland. He builds, or I guess we built some pretty cool overlanding trailers here in Lacombe. So him and Rick, Jeremy Lemoyne from Exploration 4R. He's a Toyota guy. He's got a Toyota 4Runner.
Yeah.
And then Jason from Overland, Alberta. He's got a Jeep. And then we have some other guys that kind of come and go that, they're mainly Jeep and Toyota guys, like the 3.0 Explorers and them. But for the most part, it's Jeeps and Toyotas. But there's a few Nissan guys that went on our Marble Mountain Trail. Well, there wasn't a single Toyota in that group.
I'd seen that, so let me pull this up. Let me pull this up real quick, and we'll get it.
Lots of V-necks, lots of washout, though.
Yeah, that was a savage trail. Actually, that trail blew my mind. It's funny actually because the original day when we were gonna do this, when we were going out on this trip, we were gonna do a different trail, which was basically just a road up to a lookout. It's not really even off-roading. I mean, it is by definition, but not really.
Right.
And then one of the guys that was coming with us was like, hey, I actually know this really cool way up there, but it's a little bit more technical. And so Jay and I we were all about it.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody else was kind of on stock. Like they were full stock. They didn't have a lift. They didn't have tires. They didn't have nothing. And two of the guys that came with us was my buddy Greg Hackman, who has a Nissan Titan, and this other guy named Kyle, who was rocking I think it was a 95 Nissan Xterra. And we were most of our tires were pretty bald, but those two guys sent it up that trail like crazy. Those trucks performed, for what they were and for what they were rocking for gear. They performed. Yeah. They blew my mind.
Oh, dude,
they really did.
The first time I ever took my Xterra out for real work, it was raining. It was nasty. I had just basic Michelin ATs on it.
Yeah,
nothing aggressive at all. And dude, because I learned in 2-wheel drive, you got to get it. If you're going up the hill with the big boys, you're going to have to pick a line and just go. Like there ain't stopping. Yep. So I took those little basic ATs in my Xterra and just wore these trails out, man. But I had a blast doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. Is you gotta run what you brung. Like you don't need. I see this question being asked all the time from different creators. Is like, do I need all this gear to go do this stuff? It's like, no,
not at all.
You need 4x4. It's what you need. You need 4x, and sometimes you don't even need that for some trails.
Oh yeah,
But
some of the best times I've ever had just off-roading were in a basic vehicle that shouldn't probably have been where I was putting it.
Well,
And that was, I'd always told my buddy Luke with Lifestyle Offroad, I was always like, we solid axled our Xteras together around the same time. And I'd always told him, I'm never doing that. I said, because I have just as much fun in the capability that truck has right now. Why do I need to solid axle it? And of course I ended up solid axling it. And just because, because for one, you always want to be the cool kid on the block, but two, I got tired of replacing things. So I was like, let's just fix that problem.
Well, the way I look at it is so with my Frontier specifically, so there's been a couple times where I probably could have used lockers, but I had momentum, so I didn't need them. And so the way I've kind of felt out the truck with the trails that I've been on, and I've put that truck through its paces. Like that truck's taken me a lot of places. But if you don't have lockers, you should at least have momentum.
Right.
Now, momentum can get you into trouble if you're going through an area that's got any axle snappers or anything like that that's coming in through you. So don't get me wrong, Nissan Frontier needs to come out with a locker. That's what needs to happen. And I mean a good front and rear.
Oh yeah,
but,
definitely.
But without it, you don't need these things. You just gotta. If you're not used to going out, don't go out alone. And if you do decide to not listen to me and you go out alone, tell someone where you're going to go and when you're expected back.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
it's that simple.
I always tell, I have new people always like, hey man, what's the first thing I should do? And this and that. And I'm like, the first thing you should do is just go have fun in that vehicle, learn that vehicle.
Yep.
Don't go out there adding all this lockers and big tires. If you don't know how the truck handles to begin with.
Yeah.
I see it a lot with Jeep guys. And once again, not crapping on Jeep guys, but I see these guys go right to a 4-wheel parts store. They throw $20,000 to $30,000 into it, and they think, "Oh, the truck does everything." And you're like, "No, you still got to learn to drive."
Well, I don't know if that's specifically a Jeep thing because I mean, here in Alberta, we got this. I mean, I'm sure Texas and probably even Tennessee, you guys probably have a similar issue, but people can't seem to leave diesel trucks stock.
No,
where I live.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Diesel trucks. These big Platinum Series F350s that everyone's rolling around on. That's $112,000 pickup. On a good day when you got a good deal, and then you're dumping another 50, 60 grand into it to get the look.
Yeah.
It's the look. It's the Jeep look.
Oh no, definitely.
And I'm not shitting on it because I would do the same thing. I would, but I'm going to use it.
Oh yeah. If money's not an object, I've got the Bro Dozer or whatever too.
Oh, for sure. The Bro Dozer. I've never heard that before. That's good. I like the Bro Dozer.
What is this, man? You're supposed to be the funny guy, not me. You're from Canada.
Oh man. Sometimes we gotta switch roles. Sometimes, man. It's diversity and inclusion.
Well, can we switch countries right now? Because I don't know.
That's a solid no, big guy. That's a solid no.
Right. Well, too, some of the stuff, obviously you're with Nissan, but some of the stuff that I seen early on before I even interviewed you the first time was your cinematography and stuff. Like, you do a really good job, and I want to kind of show the audience here this little clip. This is just a nice little clip, well thought out. It's just water, but it's a calm video. It just kind of leads you into, you setting up for your day.
Yeah.
And it's raining.
Yeah.
This is
It is.
I love. You do not look like a morning person on this video.
Some rain last night.
Bro, I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person on any of those videos, at all. I don't like mornings. I have a hard time dragging my butt out of bed. But I do it. I try to do it as early as possible. When I'm out camping or I'm out wheeling or I'm out adventuring. Yeah. Part of the deal is that I'm not getting out of bed before 8.
Oh, well, why? I mean, you're on that's your time,
Yeah. I want to sleep in. I want to do that. But yeah, so as far as cinematography goes, I try to keep my videos. I don't know if it's a cinematic feel that I try to give them, but I try to make it look like I try to find the beauty everywhere that I am and show the best parts of where I am, because I mean, real life isn't what you see on YouTube, man.
Oh,
and it's not what you see on my Instagram, and it's not what you see on Facebook, but if people don't see, the best of things, people don't want to go. People don't want to go there. If Machu Picchu didn't exist, how many people would go to Peru?
Right.
That's
no.
So I like showing that.
It's the Hollywood sign. part of
It's
going
exactly
to
what it
LA,
is.
you want to see the
Yeah.
stupid sign,
Yeah,
No,
I mean, I don't know if there's much else to see in LA, but
well,
yeah,
not
that's
now. A lot of homeless camps, but that's
well,
a
I mean,
Danny problem, and we'll leave that for that. But two, some of the stuff that cracks me up of this, I've got the video up from New Year's, and this is you just have to. I know Dave can't really hear
Figured.
this, but
This was really the only right place, the only right way to do this.
the only
is
right way
just
to do it's what you're talking about.
Come
so.
out and
is what I'm talking
Zeus
about.
out here in the bush
On the video.
FTR.
Yep.
So, Forestry Trunk Road, 2021. You know what? It was a tough year for all of us. A lot of people lost a lot of people, and
Come on.
a lot of good things also happened this year. I'm fogging up. A lot of good things also happened this year, folks. There's a lot of great things that came out of the world in 2020, and
Oh, there it is. You're howling like a dog, man. It's great, man, because you're just in that particular video.
Yeah, in that particular video, I had a couple whiskeys, and it was New Year's, and I was honestly, man, I was sitting exactly where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah.
Before I filmed that video, I was sitting right here, and I was going through stuff on the computer, and I was like, this isn't happening. Like, this is not happening. I'm not spending New Year's indoors. It's just not going to happen. So I packed up and I went out west, and man, it was the best thing I ever did because it was me and Zeus and nobody else out there. It was maybe minus 10 degrees, which is like a balmy. And I rang in the new year. With some folks on Instagram. I managed to get service and I went live.
Oh, nice.
Man, it was great. It was the only way to do it. It's just you got to howl at the moon sometimes, you just got to let them know you're here.
I was howling at my pillow around that time because I was asleep, man. New Year's does
man,
nothing
that's
for
cool.
me anymore. So
No, hey, you're not a New Year's guy.
oh, not at all, man. But I love that video particular because you're with your dog. Like a lot of your videos, I've noticed more and more. It's about you and your buddy going out and just having adventures, man. And your dog is totally game for everything. It seems like.
You hear that, Zeus? You're game. You're game for everything. He's gnawing on a pretty savage bone that my little brother brought back from the butcher shop today. So
Nice.
He's been pretty quiet for the last couple hours.
But you seem to have a great. You see, like having your dog with you, like that's your buddy, man. That's your companion to go have fun with, right?
Yeah, he's my bro. We hang out. We go on adventures, and he doesn't. Zeus is a funny dog, and in the in the videos, I try my best to make it seem like he's this super adventurous dog.
Yeah.
But to be completely honest, he likes his truck. He loves his truck.
He's not getting out of the truck.
If he doesn't, like, specifically in the winter time, he's an angel, right?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't like being cold. He has a winter coat because
which I've
he's
seen
a
and
wuss.
love in the videos. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got his winter parka, and like he'll still go for walks. He'll enjoy it, but the second he's done, he's done. Like, there are times where I'm going out on a hike and I'm carrying him back because he will not move. So
That's great.
But it's the only way to go. I can't leave him home because that's not right. He's an animal. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He wants to go out and run, and he does enjoy it.
He just prefers
I'm
the
making
spring.
light of it. But he likes this. That's right. He prefers the spring and summer, or just to sit in the running truck, which is cool. That's the main reason I actually run a heater in my tent is for Zeus.
Really?
Because he's just. I'm serious. I can get to sleep just fine if it's cold and stay asleep, but like. If it's too cold, he'll just be running around. Like, he'll be pacing around me in that tent and then I'm never going to sleep. So it's the hill he's going to die on. So,
well, his what breed is he again?
He's an Australian Kelpie.
Yeah. So
he's
winter's probably not the best for him.
No, he's probably a bit of fish out of water when it comes to that, but he does all right. Like I said, he's got a winter coat. I'm a good parent.
Oh yeah, man.
He doesn't have any winter boots, but that's okay.
Well, so you guys are deep into winter now. So I imagine, and I'm gonna do the dumb American thing here of like I don't know what winter is compared to you guys. I mean, we had about 3 inches of snow the other day and it shut the town down. So,
yeah,
you guys like you guys
comical.
are like you still go at it and. Man,
we don't sleep. It's winter.
Yeah, the weather just doesn't seem to bother you guys about your adventure, right?
No, I think what it is I think when you live in a place like I'm sure probably Russians that are fairly far north too, and anywhere where they get like bitterly cold, I know parts of the States get bitterly cold too, but just not for the length of time that it gets
Right.
bitterly cold up here for.
Right.
I think you just become just a hardier person. Like you're just, I don't know, you're like, instead of Cheerios, you're like shredded wheat. Like you're just,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a terrible analogy, but it's just you got to be a little hardier. So I mean, and you adjust to it over time. So -10 for someone from Nashville would probably be would probably not be enjoyable for you, to be honest. But
But you know,
-10 for us is
I have spent time in like in Idaho and places where it gets cold, and I will say this is like so cliche, but it is a different cold as well. Like there's something
sure,
about we
yeah,
get this real damp kind of just you just
yeah,
feel it all over you, and up
gets
there,
into your bones cold.
yeah.
Yeah,
but
yep,
we're just now experiencing winter, so we'll have winter from now till about middle February, and then we're done with
yeah.
it. So
Yeah, that I wish, man. I wish that was the case here. It seems to be that winter shows up sometime in October. Usually, this year's been a little different, but usually winter shows up sometime in October. It drops to about -20 Celsius, and then you don't see the sun or warm temperatures for the next 6 to 7 months.
oh man, ugh, no
It
thank you.
gets blistering cold. Now, this year we've been really fortunate. We're actually in the middle of an El Nino right now, and if you probably don't know what an El
Oh yeah,
Nino is,
so it's
but
pulling up all the warm air.
yeah, it's pulling up all the warm air from all the low areas, and
Nice.
it's keeping us above sea, which it seems nice in theory,
Mhm.
but when you've got 2 to 3 months worth of snow on the ground that is now melting,
Yeah, it's a mess. I
it
bet.
just creates the whole country is just a slop hole. It's just it just seems to be the way that it goes. So it's not. It seems nice in theory, but if it just stayed cold and everything stayed frozen, it would be better.
Right. Well, speaking of
Yeah.
things just staying the same, man, the Nissan Frontier, which you seem to love, I think we had hinted about this the last time that you were on the show. I think we talked about it, maybe a picture that I had, and then I ended up releasing it. But
Oh yeah.
how excited are you knowing that within the next week or two, we're actually going to get to see what Nissan's been planning for almost 16 years, it seems like.
I am honestly, I think about it every day. I do. I want to see it. I want to test it. I want to drive it. I want to take it out west. I want to beat it up. I want to see what it does because like I said, man, I've owned a lot of Nissan products, and I want to see. I'm just curious as to what Nissan is going to do. I'm really curious about the brand and what direction they seem to be going because that's not quite obvious to me yet.
It's not obvious
But
to a lot of people what direction they're going. So
yeah, like I don't know if they're obviously they're not doing any mic drops, right? If the Frontier ends up being a mic drop, hey,
well,
then
what would be in your eyes, because you're a 4-wheel drive guy like me?
yeah,
What? Yeah, obviously you guys get the Pro 4X just like we do here in the States, which you get a rear
yeah.
locker and stuff. What would be a mic drop for Nissan to do to kind of like make a Nissan guy go, holy shit, man, these guys really are getting it?
Oh man. Oh, that's a great question. Well, I've said one already: front and rear lockers.
Yeah.
Um, I'd probably say that front bumper needs to disappear, and I need to see some serious approach angle,
Yeah.
like ZR2 kind of borderline looking strange kind of approach angle.
Right.
And then I'd probably need to see some decent horsepower. I mean, the Frontier has always been pretty good for that, pretty good for horsepower,
Right.
and I'd have to see that trend continue. I
What
don't want to
what
see.
would be a number that would kind of make you go, oh, okay? I mean, because it's not we're not talking 400 horsepower like super truck.
No, honestly, I would say if you could give, I'd say cut that in half. Go to 350 horsepower out of a small truck like that would be nuts.
Yeah.
Like that'd be more than enough with front and rear. Like that'd be a contender for. Like, you could almost build a trophy truck with just a fiberglass body at that point.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a mic drop. I'd like to see something. Hey, you haven't seen us for a while. I'd like to see that kid who lost 700 pounds come back for his 10-year high school reunion shredded.
Right.
That's what I want to see.
Right. And
that's what I want to see.
That is a great analogy to this, man. I want to see the kid that wasn't popular in high school, got picked on. I want to see him come back to the reunion 15 years later and just be
the man,
yeah,
like the dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
like
Nissan
he
is
got his shit together.
they're capable of doing that. You know, I mean, if
Totally.
the new Z was any kind of idea of that, the excitement they can do, they definitely can do some
They
excitement.
can do it, and they've done it before. They've done it in the past. They've blown the socks off. Like people are still dreaming about the Skyline days
Mhm.
and the days of the Sylvia and all these great products that were essentially what the muscle cars did in the 60s, right? The muscle cars in the 60s were basically family cars that could blow your socks off.
Right.
And Nissan, I don't know if they intended to do this, but in the 90s when they brought out their sports sedans, it was essentially the same thing. It was a coupe or a four-door sedan that would destroy an 80s Corvette off the line.
Yeah.
I want to see that stuff again. I want to see some rule breaking. I want to see some screw you, we're doing it anyway. Like I want to see it. I want to see Nissan break the mold.
Well, they take chances in weird ways, like the Nissan Juke, which I love. It was a weird. They took a chance with that car with a little hot hatch like it was, but
Sure.
they never they throw them out there like the IDX concept. They threw something really hot out there, and then they just their focus goes back to Altima or Rogue or X Trail. Like they don't.
I don't blame them though. Like I understand the playing it safe concept. I understand that people know the product, people buy the product.
Yeah.
Let's cater to the people that buy
Well,
the
it's a
product.
very Japanese.
That makes
It's a very Japanese thing too. To play it safe. Don't.
Absolutely, it makes sense. Don't rock the boat. This works. This works well. Let's just keep doing this. But the thing is that we people evolve. If anything, this last 2 to 3 years has taught us socially or culturally or anything, it's that nothing stays the same and everything's in flux all the time.
Yeah.
I think what Nissan, and this is just my opinion. Nissan did some really cool things aesthetically, but that's it.
Oh yeah, the current Maxima is a great looking car. The sad part is
it's
a front wheel drive turd. I mean, and nothing against it's fast, but it's just not exciting.
No, it's not exciting, and that's when I think of exciting Nissan, I think of the Datsun days. I think of the 280ZX. I think of the 180SX. I think of all those cars that I've owned and driven, and there was something. Nissan was tapping into something at that point,
right?
And they lost it, and they haven't found it since. And I so wish I could tell them what it is, as if they would even listen. But I wish I knew what it was. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them find it. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a mic drop moment for Nissan. I think they've earned it.
Well, I think some of the plans that I'd heard they were going to do for the truck, you may want to pay attention to King of Hammers and stuff like that coming up really soon.
Yeah.
Because there was a plan last year, and they pushed the truck back a little bit. But if anything, I think they do have maybe not a full mic drop coming, but they're definitely about to wake up a little bit in with their next truck. But
it's cool. I dig it.
Well, Dave, it's been awesome having you on here, man. If you guys have not yet, go over to Dave's channel, Blindman Overland. It's 2 words, correct? Blindman and then Overland.
Yeah, it's Blindman Overland. You'll see a Nissan Frontier pop up on both Instagram and YouTube. And head over there and give me a follow and like and subscribe that stuff if you guys like those adventure videos and you guys want to hang out with me and my dog.
Yeah, because you right now you've got just over 300 subs on this, and it's mind-boggling to me because it is great, guys. Like I put the NMP name behind it. I think it's really really good content, and it's deserve. I mean, he deserves just smash that like button. That's where it starts, man.
Yeah,
and you
I
guys,
don't. That's the thing is. Like I don't put crap. I'm not gonna put. I try really hard not to put up garbage content. You know, I think about the compositions. I edit. I work on lighting because it's fun for me, and I don't want to put out crap content. Right. So
well, I'm glad one of us here works on those things because
you guys do all right. What are you talking about? You're all right.
As you're nicely lit in yours, and I'm got my little halo light here that's trying to die on me. But guys, seriously, go over to Blindman Overland, check them out. I'm sure with spring around the corner, you're going to have a bunch of new fun adventures. Because last year, you just seemed to keep going, man. Like I was like, he's going to put out 5 videos or so. And it's like, no, they just keep coming, man. You just keep rolling out with cool stuff. So.
Yeah, I think I've got 40 or so on there now. So I try to post, on average, a video a week.
Yeah.
Lately, it's been slowing down a little bit for obvious reasons, just for where we are socioeconomically. But
Sure.
you expect a video from me once a week. If it's not just to jump on and say, hey, what's up for you guys, and just to mingle. I've did some really cool additions to the truck since the last time I was on your show.
Oh yeah,
So
it's changed quite a bit.
oh man, there's some massive changes. I changed the bumper. There's brand new tires. I've got a brand new Blindman Overland tack rack. So if you guys own a Nissan Frontier and you're trying to find a Nissan product that'll work perfectly fine with your truck for like a rooftop tent or anything like that, head over to www.blindmanoverland.com and you can check out the rack that I use on my truck. And I swear up and down, it's the best rack that you're going to buy because it does everything that you need it to do. You can carry a kayak and a bike, anything you want, and it works with a tonneau cover, and it's not $20,000.
Nice. Well,
Yes.
that's always the key there, because if you're a Nissan guy, you're probably a cheap guy. So that's
Frugal, Dave. We're frugal.
Oh, sorry, frugal. But anyways, man, once again, go over to Blindman Overland, check him out. If we don't hit 400 subs, I'm going to be disappointed in you guys. So please show the man some love. It's well worth the time. And till next time, guys. I've appreciated you being on here, man. And
I appreciate the time.
I can't wait to watch your next adventure. So from all things Nissan here in my studios to way over in Canada, this is your Nissan Nation, and I'm your host, David Boyd, along with David of Blindman Overland. Peace, everybody.
Good night, folks.